Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the next in the series of the Deep Crawl webinars. Got a fantastic topic for you today, the blueprint to owning zero-click searches. My name's John Myers, and I have the absolute pleasure of hosting our speaker today, who is Izzi Smith, who is the SEO manager of Sixt Rent-A-Car. Welcome to the broadcast, Izzi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for taking the time to be here. I've just been having a look through your slides and they look fantastic. So I'm very much looking forward to this too. For our regular users who obviously attend these webinars on a regular basis now, because we've been doing them for quite a while now, it's absolutely the usual format, but just to go through for anybody that's new to us today, we're going to do around about 30 to 40 minutes of presentation, and then we will get into the Q&A. So please, please, please do get your questions ready. As we're going through the presentation and you have a question, please take the time to submit it via the chat box as we go. Rather than waiting till the end, because we like to kind of collate them all together, and then when it gets to the end of the presentation from Izzi, myself and her can get into a great Q&A session for you guys and answer all those questions. As always, the webinar is recorded and there will be a recap live on the Deep Crawl blog as of tomorrow, with obviously a rerun of the audio of our webinar today. And we do also absolutely love your feedback. You know, please, please, please take the opportunity as you log out today. There's a little box that's going to pop up and ask you for your feedback. Tell us where we could be doing things better. Tell us if we're great. Tell us where we could do a new topic or something like that you'd like to see within the webinar. But please do take that 15 minutes to actually take the time to give us that feedback, because we really, really do value it from you guys. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Izzi Smith, who is our speaker today, to talk us through this exciting topic of blueprint to owning zero-click searches. I'm sure you guys are intrigued. I'm absolutely intrigued and very, very much looking forward to it. So without further ado, for the next 40 minutes, over to you, Izzi, and I'm very much looking forward to this presentation too.
Thank you so much, John. I'm looking forward to it too. This is a topic that's really close to my heart. Those of you that know me know that I'm pretty obsessed with SERPs and anything about search features, so this is really cool for me today. I also had to laugh at the topic and enterprise SEOs, so we're not talking about the car rental company. We're talking about large-scale websites and what we can do there. So a little bit about me. That's me very proud in the back with my team. I'm an SEO manager for the UK and US at Sixt Rent-A-Car. I've been there for 5 years in Munich, but I'm originally from Burnley in the UK. And if you ever want to reach out to me, ask me any questions, or just say hi, you want to have some banter, you can follow me at Izzy on Fire on Twitter. At Sixt, we have over 2,000 branches worldwide in 105 countries, and most of it, well, pretty much all of it, is managed in-house in Munich. And for each global market we have its own domain. So as you might imagine, that's a lot of web pages out there to take care of, to optimize, and to ensure growth in such a really saturated and competitive market. So jumping on the topic, one second. What are zero-click searches when we talk about this? And why is it such a hot topic? Why is everyone so afraid of them? Basically, a zero-click search happens when a searcher is maybe satisfied directly on the SERP, either by Google or by the publisher. So they've searched for something, they're looking for an answer to a problem, and there's no need for them to directly click on a URL and visit a page to find out more. But it could also be when a searcher is dissatisfied by the results, and then they need to amend their query or exit Google. And basically, both of them are caused by Google. So the first is when they're displaying content that's satisfying them, or the second problem is when actually they need to refine their algorithms, take this feedback, and then provide better results in the future. But today, I'm mostly going to be looking at the first problem. And this happens when we see things like Google Quick Answers and data embeds. Someone looking for weather in Munich doesn't need to visit a landing page. They're already satisfied directly there by the weather result. But also by organic SERP features like feature snippets or even standard snippets. The same description there that you see for the organic result is taken for this feature snippet. And this could result in a zero-click SERP, these kind of features. Are these bad for me and my click-through rate? I'm going to be using some data that you've probably all seen, but it's the best kind of context for this argument and this topic. And of course, it comes from Rand Fishkin, where he found out that 62% of mobile searches resulted in no click, and this was in September 2018. The number is rising, it's staying around this high statistic, and this is quite terrifying for us SEOs. And then in the EU and the UK, I love how he's already separating the two. In his eyes, Brexit already happened. 54% of mobile searches ended in no click. So yeah, pretty scary stuff. There's a great recap by Ducrell, by Rachel, for the Brighton SEO talk that he gave last year. If you're unaware of this data, if you were living under a rock, check it out and see what he has to say. So yeah, pretty terrifying stuff. And yeah, it's these kind of content-heavy SERP features that are distracting people away from visiting the publisher's content. So you can find out all about Justin Trudeau, how tall he is, you know, who his wife. You can find all these notable moments. You can swipe through that feature there, and there is no need to actually visit a page. But why is there so much content? Why are there so many SERP features? It's not just Google being a jerk. It all comes down to providing this satisfying experience for the searcher's intent. So Google is moving more away from being a search engine, so providing a ranked list of results of URLs, and they're moving more towards being an answer engine and giving these really rich bits of data. So no matter what you're looking for, you can, you know, hope to find the answer to what you're looking for directly there. I feel like I'm using this Drake meme so much, but I love it. So let's, as a crude example that, you know, doesn't do the Google algorithms justice, say I'm looking for ice cream Manchester, and then Google is like, okay, the intent is local. She used a location as a geomodifier. She's not looking to find the history of ice cream in Manchester. So knowing this information, they will then display and trigger a local pack SERP feature, because this is more satisfying to my intention. I want to find ice cream in Manchester, easy peasy. Or what is the best shampoo for red hair? And there could be multiple intents. So right here, I'm researching, but I also have a transactional purpose. I want to know something before I make my purchase. So then they will trigger things like the paid results, the ads, but also an informative featured snippet there that's, you know, ranking and comparing the different types of shampoos. Also Brexit, this is a multi-intent query as well. So it's informational, but it's fresh because it's a hot trending topic. Well, for a long time, it unfortunately has been discussed a lot. So they will also display these featured snippets and knowledge panels, but top stories, like what is in the news right now. 24 minutes ago, 19 minutes ago, these articles were published, and that will be most relevant for the user. So knowing this information, we can see that Google is not just trying to steal our traffic, they're trying to deliver a better user experience. And to be fair, that's what we as website owners try to do as well. And the point is, you shouldn't really be afraid of zero-click SERPs. You should take them as opportunities. Discover what causes these zero-click SERPs and then use that to your advantage. Sorry to be a very positive SEO, but this is how I take it and how I see it. I should apologize for my sore throat, by the way. If I start coughing, you know why. So some key opportunities that we're going to be looking at today include how you can understand more about the user and the searcher intent from what SERP features Google is displaying. You should see how they want to satisfy the searcher, and use that as key inspiration to enrich your websites and your content so that you can do one better. take those prominent SERP features, for example, local packs and feature snippets, use it to your advantage to outrank your organic competitors. Build up some awesome brand awareness by creating your connected entity within the knowledge graph. The knowledge graph, all these knowledge panels, are like your business cards on the web. So you need to make sure that your data is structured and that you're a well-connected brand out there. You need to solidify your hard-earned rankings. Ranking high in organic, as we all know, is not easy. So we need to make sure that by enriching our SERPs, we're turning our rankings into traffic, into more meaning, into more business. And we also want to bring only focused, engaged traffic to our website. And we can do that through enriching our SERPs as well. So only bringing the visitors that want to be on our website, that are going to interact and, hopefully spend some money. Of course, this can be complicated. Staying on or looking into the topic of enterprise level websites, there are certain things that we need to, work on and go through. So as SERPs get richer and richer, we're going to stand to lose traffic and maybe CTR, and communicating this can be complicated, especially to people that aren't familiar with what's going on directly with Google, with core updates and algorithms, with SERP changes. So it's all about communication and education as well. Also, for larger scale websites, there'll be multiple user intents, searcher intents, and we need to analyze each section of the website separately. And there'll be a higher volume of pages. And when it comes to enriching your results, your content and everything, implementing structured data, which I'll be talking about later, you often require things like developer resources. And, this can be hard to prove, hard to get the prioritization for this on an enterprise level website. But hopefully, that's why I'm here, so I can help you out with all this. All right, let's do this. First of all, harvesting searcher intent at scale. If I had a small website, a small blog, it would be pretty easy. I could do this, but then I want to scale this optimization process and then weave it into gold. So what I like to do is use Search Metrics Suite. You can see the SERP feature integrations per keyword, either which ones you're in or just ones that you're not in but are still being triggered by the query. And they're also specifying the primary search intent. But what I like to do is export this data and then translate each of these SERP feature integrations into more specific searcher intents. For example, if there is a map pack being triggered for this query, I know there is a local intent, so I can go into way more detail. Then you can also combine this with your Google Search Console data and properly analyze where there is room for improvement. What is going on for this SERP? Why is my CTR dropping? But I'm ranking in position 1, and you can really, analyze those problems. So this is a nice way of doing it for an enterprise level website too. The next point is unprioritizing those unsustainable queries. Even if it's got a super high search volume and you've got love hearts in your eyes, you really want to rank for this short head keyword because it's got the power to drive a lot of traffic to your website. This is getting even more hard. It's all about brand, and a lot of the times, if Google is ranking there with a content-heavy SERP feature, you have little to no chance of getting the traffic. So say no to pure answer intent. So someone looking for an actual factual response to a query. Of course, unless it's branded, you shouldn't go for it. So for example, UK population, there is this really nice chart that's being displayed, Jurassic Park release date. And for pure answer searcher intent, there is a limited chance that they want to find out more. It's not a research intent where, they might need more information. So if you come across these kind of queries, yes, they may look pretty awesome, but your time is better off spent hunting down those mid to long tail queries. And this is my theory why this data looks so scary, because there's a lot of pure informational answer intent queries out there that of course don't need a click to the SERP. The next point, and it's a big one, is about how you can stand out in organic search with rich results and rich snippets, driving those meaningful clicks with beautiful snippets. It's not just about standing out, but it's a really nice way of winning clicks even when you're not ranking in the top positions. So here for events in Munich, there are 2 results ranking below, but they're providing more content that's relevant to me. So they're going to win the click in an ideal world, of course, but this can help you stand out, yeah. Also, it's a really great way of driving visitors that actually want to be on your website. So someone looking for a guacamole recipe that is, caring about calories and how long it takes to cook, this one would be the best response despite ranking in position 4. So what's going to happen there is they're visiting your website and they won't be super shocked by the content and the data on your page. They'll realize that it's the right result for them. And this is going to reduce your bounce rates and those short visits. And this is really quality content, quality traffic. There are many different rich snippets out there. So recipe, article, product with the star ratings and the prices, Q&A page is one of the more recent ones. Sorry for losing my voice. And like what's kind of really new, I think only 2 months old now, is the how-to rich result, which is only displayed on mobile. And it gives there's a detail research one where you've got like these drop-down menus and people can take a look. It only shows 3 out of your steps, so you can still, you won't fully satisfy the user. You can just tease them on the SERP and then get them to your page. And then there's the visual research one, where they have swipeable images to go through. FAQs is another really new one. This one is a bit more aggressive, I think, because the desktop one is in German, sorry, but you see mehr Anzeigen that will show all, and the searcher can actually view all of your FAQs directly on the SERP with their answers. I think there was a rule about the cutoff of answer content. I can't remember how much it was, but it was a lot. The maximum was a lot. So yeah, this, of course, it can help you stand out and it can help drive those more relevant visitors to your website, but be careful and test it before you fully roll it out. I did an analysis of our rich results last year for 6.co.uk, like our products, our ratings, review stars, and it had an 85% higher CTR on average than similar but non-rich results. So this was a cool little study that I did and found out. But also it had a really nice uplift on our engagement. So like I said before, the content on the SERP, or like the trust value gained from having that star rating, was increasing our conversion rate, our time on site, and less people were bouncing back to the SERPs to find another result. But we need schema.org to create these rich results, and that's what search engines provided us with. So how can we roll out schema.org across our domains in a way that's effective, it's efficient, and it's playing by the rules? Unless you're Yoast, I don't know if Jono is listening, probably not, but every time someone mentions, how can I implement schema on my website, Jono will say, just install Yoast. But not all of us are working on WordPress. And as always, it will depend on things like your CMS requirements, how good friends you are with your developers. But I just want to give you a few tips on how I made more structured data implementation work at Sixt from a few years back now, but it still works pretty well. So in general, there are rules to stick by, because if you're manipulating structured data, you can get penalties, which will result in Google taking away all of your search enhancements, your rich snippets, your featured snippets, and anything that's going to make you stand out. So don't manipulate it. Sorry. So always test whether rich results are worth it for your site and your directories, because just because it's available doesn't mean that you should get really excited and roll it out. I do get very excited when Google announces new rich snippets to test, but I apply it to a small portion of similar pages first, and then create a test variable so I can see what the actual impact is. Don't spam structured data around everywhere, and never mark up content not on the page. So what was kind of easy to do in the past was to create structured data markup to get the review star rating and put it on every single page that you wanted to have review stars. And this is totally illegal in Google's eyes, so don't do that. It has to have matching paired content on the page. Never be misleading on what you're representing, so don't use, for example, recipe markup to get a recipe feature snippet, rich snippet, if you sell cars. Don't mark up content that's dynamically injected, so hidden by on-click events. That means what the user sees in the rich snippet on the SERP, they should be able to see straight away on the landing page. Always use the most specific type available. So if you're a casino, use casino rather than local business. That's more of a quality rule rather than a technical rule. And yeah, make sure you validate the code using structured data testing tool or rich results test. Rich results test will show you a preview of your rich snippet, which is kind of nice to play around with. But if you're just rolling out structured data without the exact plan of generating rich results, then I would use structured data testing tool. In terms of implementing structured data, oh my God, I'm sat here with my tea, like really tragically. Yeah, always use JSON LD syntax. Microdata still works, which is the other syntax, but JSON LD is much easier. It's more future-proof. It's recommended by Google. It's supported by Google, Bing, and Yandex. It's JavaScript based, but honestly, it's so easy. Even my mum can read it. It's just simple name key pairs. It's great. Or key value pairs, sorry. And even if you don't have any JavaScript knowledge, you can still work with JSON LD, and it's very well documented. So yeah. If you don't have an automated solution, that's like the ideal way, you know, taking it via your database, I would recommend integrating your own CMS plugin. And this is what I did at Sixt, or not I did, I requested it. I cried until I got it. This is basically a plugin in our CMS that my developers, my awesome developers, integrated for me, and I can copy and paste JSON LD blobs directly. And to make them feel safer that I'm not going to mess anything up, they added a lint checker. So if there is a problem with the code, it will show an error. It'll be commented out, so it won't go on the page. And yeah, there it is. Everything's fine and relax. So I think this is a nice setup because you have more freedom to customize your JSON LD markup, and everyone's happy. Your developers don't need to do any additional work. If you have more static content, like it's not really changing that often, it's not dynamic or personalized, you can create markup in bulk simply by extracting data from your website and structuring it. So my quick and easy formula for doing this is just pinpointing the data you want to extract and then create the regex, the regular expression. And using deep crawl, you can create these custom extractions. So it'll know exactly which piece of data to extract from all your pages. And then you can just do a crawl and pull all of the data from your website that is ready to be marked up for your schema. There's another great guide there from Deep Crawl. I think also by Rachel. She's my hero. and find the right markup template at schema.org and create your placeholder blob. So on schema.org, they have the documentations for, I think, almost 1,000 item types that you can use, and they give you really easy step-by-step templates that you can copy and paste. So this is the one I took from news article. There it is, and all you need to do is replace their values with yours. Then once you have your call data in Excel, you can create concatenate tables and just in bulk, you push your scraped web data into that JSON LD markup, which I think is pretty awesome. And in 10 minutes, I created markup for over 200 pages, ready to be copy and pasted into the CMS. So that was pretty fun. Yeah, there's my final code. But yeah, be careful if you're rolling out changes to your content, make sure that you also apply those changes to your structured data as well, because like I said before, never mark up content that's not on the page. Feed the knowledge graph is the next step for your benefit. And maybe for the good of the web ecosystem, if you want to be a good guy, the knowledge graph and structured data helps search engines with the semantic web ecosystem on understanding context and proper associations and connections out there in the web. So this is how I like to describe the knowledge graph. It's very crude, but as a human, we can easily identify all of these associations around this one entity, this video game Fallout 3. But a search engine requires, they need more help in understanding how everything is connected and what sort of context things have. What is this, what is a video game exactly? So that's why they created schema.org, so that we as webmasters, SEOs, whatever, we can provide this machine readable meaning and context to all of this connected data out there. And then, for example, when you search for a Fallout 3 genre or Fallout 3 narrator, you're given these quick answers that are pulled from the connected knowledge graph. So it's showing all these different entities and how they're related. And of course, these are zero-click SERPs, but you can feed the knowledge graph in your favor. The knowledge panel that you see on the right-hand side is the collection of this data. Here's a knowledge panel for a place. There's one for a person, for Ryan Reynolds, and showing everything about him in his different movies. But also you get knowledge panels for your company, everything about your brand, your social media profiles, and yeah. And it's kind of like, yeah, your business card on the web. When someone searches for your brand, you want to make sure that your knowledge panel right there is up to date, it's optimized, and structured data can help with this. So the next point is about enriching your entities. If Google is going to steal your data, make sure they steal the right data. And this helps with things like local knowledge panels, which are really relevant to us as we have physical locations. And we want to make sure that when someone looks for Sixt in Miami, they're presented with the correct details, which are taken from our Google My Business listings. But also they're helping with things like entity featured snippets. These are really cool because what it is it's a feature snippet taking content from my competitor's website, but it's pulling known entities from the text and displaying them there. So the searcher can click on Sixt car hire and be taken to a SERP that's just about me. And that's pretty cool. And entity quick answers. So like I showed you before with the Fallout 3 example, these quick answers are providing quick pieces of information for pure answer intent, but it's branded, so I like it. And this is the good kind of zero-click SERP that I like, because the user is being satisfied on the search result page, but I would rather it be this way than a quick site visit, so just visiting the page and then bouncing back to the results. And having this factual representation is way better than being excluded. And that's how all this structured data can help you. And you don't want to be left out from these entity carousels. I don't know if that's the official name for them or if I just invented it, because if someone's looking for a specific topic or a type of software in this case, Google is going to use the knowledge graph to display companies or products that are associated with it. And if you're not providing this information to Google, you risk being left out. And below the entity carousel, you can see there's just ads. So you want to be in there. And when you click it, it will refine the search and take the search directly to the branded search. So in order to ensure all of this is great, you need to align your data out there that Google has within the knowledge graph. So for example, Wikipedia listing parity, make sure that your data there is up to date. Claim your knowledge panels via Google Search Console, so you can now directly edit and update your knowledge graphs and your knowledge panel by connecting it to your account. Make sure your social media profiles are aligned. You can use organization, structured data, or schema markup on your homepage. Make sure your brand naming convention is aligned, and this is a bit of an obvious one, but provide that square logo with central focus, because you don't want to be like enterprise and the people also search for box down there who looks like ERP. So make sure that visually you're standing out better as well. The next topic is about feature snippets, which I'm a big fan of, because they're one of the last prominent SERP features that you have the chance to be in there. And they're pretty sexy because they have the power to take you above your competitors. No matter where you're ranking on page 1, you can completely leapfrog them. They're a super nice trust signal to the searcher because you're being taken as the definitive response to a query, like the best answer by Google. People trust Google, so that's really nice. It's great brand awareness and it can generate voice search responses. So optimizing for feature snippets is optimizing for voice search as well. And they're displayed in different ways now. So on mobile, there is this expandable one that has separate URLs and links in there. This website managed to get in a few of those different drop-down links. And then there are these bubble feature snippets, which will display a different piece of content depending on how detailed you want to go. And it used to be in the past, there was either paragraph, table, or list formats, but now Google seems to be combining all the different formats and layouts. So here is a combination of paragraph and table. And just to show you again some more CTR data, I can't remember the exact uplift amount, but the feature snippet CTR was higher on average than the rich snippet and average CTR, the lower down the SERP. This kind of makes sense because if you're ranking in position 9 but generating a feature snippet, of course you're going to see on average a higher CTR. It's kind of cool how the rich snippet generated more clicks than the feature snippet. But yeah, it's still definitely worth fighting, especially if you want to, you know, impatiently jump to the top result, which is what we all want to do, right? But of course, not all feature snippets are sexy and will drive clicks. If your response or if the satisfaction is directly on the SERP, then you stand to lose clicks, right? So you should aim to achieve those feature snippets with transactional intent, because all that trust, all that prominence means a lot of money. Here's a great example of a feature snippet that I love. How old to hire a car, or how old do I need to be to hire a car, how to rent a car, blah, blah, blah. Because it's informational, it's research, but there is this transactional intent as well. It's like a small chance that someone actually cares, without wanting to rent a car, how old you need to be to hire a car, just out of interest. So aim to get this position between the informational and transactional intents. These are like the broader intents. This is feature snippet gold. Sorry. And also, in order to make your feature snippets stand out more or generate more clicks, you can do things like steps like bulking out your list with additional steps. You want to get that more items option so that the searcher knows that there is more information to find out, enticing buzzword headlines like best, top, and so on. Making sure content is useful and unique, because if you don't do that, A, you won't stand to win the feature snippet position, but B, even if you're satisfying them on the SERP, that trust gained from that is still valuable. Always use compressed and relevant images beside the text. You don't want to be like us down here, where we have the text part of the feature snippet, but Europcar is winning it, the image part, with a very branded image. Comparison and top funnel queries make for great clickable feature snippets that can drive a lot of value. And don't just create landing pages with question and answer content, like as a bullet point list. It's all about more than that. You need to prove to Google why you deserve this feature snippet spot. So provide headings and introductions, a visual aid, and that's relevant. Of course, you want the image spot as well. And then provide more relevant additional content that will be useful to the user, and it's going to prove to Google that you're the expert on this topic. So that's why you deserve the feature snippet spot. If you want to learn more about how much I love feature snippets and more recipes for winning them, you can find my slides from previous presentations there on my website, which works really bad on mobile, so please visit on desktop. Another point is about how you can source and scale snippet enriching content that provides quality for the humans and SERP enrichments. That's such a win-win situation. This is a really beautiful table that I made today about content that you can easily source that's going to get you that SERP enrichment as well. For example, FAQs, you can get that from your operational staff, your sales teams, and from, if you have Google My Business listings, from the Q&A there. Provide content, answer content for it on your landing pages, mark it up, and then you can get FAQ rich snippets, and you can stand to win great informational research feature snippets too. Of course, getting reviews and displaying that on your website can help with the star ratings and vote rich snippets. Data tables taken from product feeds, for example, can help with structured snippets and feature snippets and rich results. I wonder how many times I've said snippets. And how-to guides are it's really valuable content to help with conversions as well. And this can help you with, of course, how-to rich results and feature snippets, so that the list feature snippets. Another really quick and easy tip is optimizing your mobile thumbnails. A lot of images are shown on mobile SERPs, and this can help you stand out even more. So just check your highest mobile device impression share queries in Google Search Console, see how it looks on your phone or in Google DevTools. If it looks crap, add a nice image, make the focus content visible in the center square, and also check if you have optimal open graph images, because sometimes if there is no image on the page, Google will grab this and display it on the SERP. And yeah, there are some more nice examples. Providing basic HTML tables on your landing pages is a win-win-win. It's useful content displayed in an easy to read way for the user, but also it helps trigger these super awesome table feature snippets and these structured snippets that you can see on the second example there. And that's 2 additional lines of SERP real estate, which can mean a lot in this competitive world of SEO. Site link enhancements are super easy and also very useful, meaning that the user can jump directly to a specific piece of content on a long long page, and that's how they look in the first example. That's how they look on the landing page, and just make the anchor marks very descriptive of what they're offering. I wonder how much time we have left. This is the final point. So in order to get all these prioritizations to be able to roll out all these changes across your website, you need to prove how they work, and also you need to test and have reliable data to show return on investment of all the time you spent hunting them. So because Google Search Console doesn't really let you compare your rich result click-through rates or clicks or impressions before it was a rich result, you need to do a lot of manual extraction as well. So just filter by search appearance, take your rich results, and then head to pages and export this. Then in Excel, you can use the text join function to create the whole concatenated regular expression for your Google Analytics segment. Then create custom segments in Google Analytics for each rich result or feature. If you want to check your feature snippets, you'll have to use your rank tracking tool or do it manually by looking on the SERPs, and then create the regular expression. Oh, I should have mentioned that you need to use the pipe limiter. And then once you have this, you can create custom dashboards in Google Analytics or in Google Data Studio, whatever, and you can compare the performance of normal snippets, your FAQ snippets here, for example, and product rich snippets. Of course, I have to hide the data from you, but you get the idea, right? And there you can really see how this is affecting engagement, not just traffic, but how is the bounce rate compared to a normal result, the time on page, conversions and transactions. And this can be super valuable data to help you go out there and prove that this had an impact on performance. And you need to roll out these rich results even wider and spend even more time winning things like feature snippets. Yeah, that's you presenting the quality graph to the stakeholders. Final takeaways, in case you didn't listen. I have many. I'm just going to read them out. So understand what Google considers a searcher intent and use that in your favor. Look to the SERPs, see how they want to satisfy users, and that's great inspiration for you. And then understand what the searcher is looking for so that you can provide engaging content. Avoid wasting your precious time on those unsustainable queries that Google can easily satisfy. So for example, those pure answer intent keywords. Build up those strong connected entities for your brand and your products. Use the benefits of structured data for you. Win more meaningful traffic with rich results that drives the right kind of visitors to your pages that want to be there. Build those feature snippets that achieve a goal. Maybe it's conversions, but even if they're not clicking, the increased trust and brand and voice results can also help you. Communicate importance of SERP enrichments to achieve more support by building those dashboards. And then once you know what wins, scale all those proven winning efforts across your site and achieve them naturally. So I wish you the best of luck with your SERP enrichment hunting and avoiding zero-click SERPs or making them work in your favor. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to contact me on Twitter or email. And yeah, you can check out my podcast, which is pretty funny. Yeah, that's me.
Fantastic, Izzy. Thank you very, very much.
You're very welcome.
Loads of interesting information. It's like info overload in that deck. And I mean that in a very good way. There's a blueprint in there for sure to all these different things that you can do.
Cool.
And well done with your voice as well. I didn't realise you were struggling so much.
I'm
very,
okay.
Very well soldiering on through. So thank you for that. So I'm not going to let you off straight away. We have some questions for you, which is always nice to have. And we've got some great feedback. We've got Craig Savenka saying, Izzy, awesome presentation. Thank you. So
thank you, Craig.
Nice to see. But I always like to start with the first question that we get asked. And Janine Hill asked the question about review markups. What aggregated sites are trusted and can be used?
That is a good question, actually. I think it depends on what the aggregated site is offering, because I don't like domain-wide reviews. I don't want to use these across my sites. And maybe that's just a personal opinion. Maybe, of course, it needs to be tested. But for me, this looks spammy in 2019 as a searcher when a domain is displaying 500,000 reviews for a 98% rating or a 4.8 star rating, I think you should take the review site that you can use that is providing really specific aggregated reviews for each product or for each service or location out there.
Fantastic. Right, and Gaurav Parikh says, hey Izzy, this seems like a really, that's how you start the question. This seems like a really great in-depth view of structured data to use on enterprise websites. So I think that's a very positive bit of feedback there.
Thank you.
My question basically saying is if these devs are capable of marking up the content in the page itself instead of using JSON and LD, using the microdata or RFDs, don't you think marking the content in the page is a better approach?
If I understood you correctly, you're saying if the developers prefer to use microdata, then
yeah, I think he's basically saying instead of using obviously the JSON LD to do all do that part of the process, or if these devs are capable of actually physically marking the content up on the page using microdata or RFDs, would that be a better approach, or is that just going down the wrong road and you should stick with the JSON LD?
So right now, Google still accepts it fully. So there is no harm in using those syntaxes, those frameworks. If it works for your developers and for you, I would say yes. It's going to be a quick solution, and that's fine. But if you want to make sure that your website is fully future-proof for any search enhancements, you know what Google's like for turning off these accepted tags and things. So one day they might just say, okay, microdata is no longer accepted. And to avoid risk, I would invest, using JSON LD. But if it's really not a chance at the moment, then use microdata or whatever you can on your pages. Go get those results.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more in the sense of Google constantly changing things. So
they like to keep us on our toes.
Absolutely, and I would always err on the case of make sure you just kind of cover your bases. So I couldn't agree there. Robert Johnson just asked you mentioned using tables on landing pages, which obviously is a great way of thinking about that. But he's just basically asking, are divs styled to that layout read in the same way?
They can be, yeah. I'm seeing this more and more. So I think it was 1 or 2 years ago when we properly started seeing a huge impact from our tables, our HTML tables, and I never saw any div formatting being taken by Google on the SERPs. But now it's not as fully used, but it still can be taken. I think if it wouldn't be too much of a hassle, using the sort of basic HTML is the best way to do it, but there is still a chance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the question, Robin. Thank you for the answer, Izzy. So Paul Brown is asking, just going right back to the start, harvesting search intent at scale. You said that's a great idea to use search metrics. So another positive bit of feedback and everything you do. But could you explain the best tips to utilize this at scale? Because obviously, I'm guessing at 60, you guys deal in mass scale, and how do you kind of manage that process of using search metrics to, deal with, I'm guessing multiple thousands of queries in a lot of respects.
So for 6, it's okay at the moment. Like most of our queries are with transactional intent, and of course for informational in our services pages, it can be pretty obvious, but Google can change it up a bit. So for example, the map pack is getting everywhere now since the past 8 months or so. And before we realized that, we were spending all of our effort and time on pure organic ranking. But when we realized how many map results out there that Google is now considering a more local transactional result, then we thought we should actually spend a load of time and projects in local SEO because we want to be in the map pack. We don't care about organic as much anymore because that map pack result is ranking way more prominently. But I think a really nice way of using this data at scale is exporting it. I didn't put a screenshot in, unfortunately, this time, but yeah, feel free to ask me and we can chat further about it. And then taking those SERP feature values in Excel and sort of weighting them. So it's like, okay, this SERP is displaying a feature snippet, a local pack, and AdWords results, ads, blah, blah, blah. And then sort of across a large scale, creating prioritizations based on this. So am I listed in there? And kind of find and replacing a local pack into local intent and a featured snippet into informational intent, and then finding all those split intent queries, finding the pure intent queries, really segmenting it, and yeah, just going from there and seeing what problems you face. Yeah.
No, it makes a lot of sense. You really love this stuff, don't you?
I do. I'm a bit of a nerd.
That's great. No, it's brilliant. I love the thought process of you figuring that one through as you were going there, kind of thing. And just to kind of answer Paul's question, Anne just asked the question, just to tie in the two together, can you use any other tools for this rather than search metrics? And if so, what would you recommend?
Actually, I'm not sure.
It's all on search metrics, is it?
Well, I do love search metrics, but I don't want to mention a tool that doesn't do it without double checking. So unfortunately, I can't help you out there.
We'll leave that one there.
I might ask. Yeah.
You can tweet that one out afterwards, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'll retweet it. But just going back to Jason as well, I just had a question to tie that back together. Maxim's just said, thanks for an awesome presentation. Again.
You're welcome.
But also is asking, can we inject JSON LD data via Google Tag Manager, or won't that work?
I knew someone would ask this.
Everybody believes everything can be injected via GTM tags.
Yes, and you can inject structured data with Google Tag Manager, but it's really not recommended because you risk in the two-step indexing process, Google not finding your injected JavaScript tags from the Google Tag Manager. So it's risky. It's a hack. John Mueller said you shouldn't do it, and
he's Google though.
He is Google. But it's Google Tag Manager, so. But yeah, it does work in displaying rich results, but it's not the definitive, the ideal solution of doing it. So yeah, I don't know.
Your recommendation would be not to.
But to be fair, I'm a bit of an innocent, pure SEO. I like playing by the rules sometimes, but yeah. Just give it a go. Go for it.
Give it a go. See if it doesn't work out.
It's risky.
It's the other option. Yeah, it's all about testing at the end of the day.
Exactly, and it wouldn't result in a penalty, so that's fine. But it might just be a lot of implementation for no result.
No, definitely. And thinking about rich snippets a little bit as well. Steve Smith's just asking, which ones in your eyes work best? And it might not necessarily just be for sixth, but obviously in the context of just in general, because there's so many to choose from. Where would you, if you're going to pick two, where would you focus your time?
Can I give the age-old SEO response of it depends? Because it really does depend.
It really does depend. That's why I kind of said maybe not just in the sense of sixth. Probably certain ones in that arena, but maybe in different arena and different sector, different ones.
Well, it always depends on what content you have there to mark up and what you can legitimately take. Everyone can use FAQ rich results at the moment, no matter the page, if you have FAQs to mark up. But only recipe websites can use the recipe rich snippet, for example. So it really depends on what services, what products you have there, and you don't want to give explicit meaning to Google or to search engines about a context that you're not able to give. So, for example, FAQ page is a little bit risky if you think about it on a transactional page, because you're telling Google that actually I'm just providing questions and answers, but you're there marking up content in order to get a rich result. So think about it, think about what is most relevant for you. I provided a link in one of the slides to the search feature gallery. So I'd recommend you go digging there and have a look at what you can, make a claim to mark up and create there, but also what will make sense in order to drive more traffic and better traffic.
No, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense as well. We'll squeeze one final one in, and just expand on that a little bit from Ian Kane. Obviously, you talked about knowledge graph, you talked about rich snippets, featured snippets. Again, thinking about time focus, where would you spend your time? Because I absolutely agree with things like the map pack and stuff like that. That's just so prominent these days, and knowledge graph's just a great win if you can get in at the top.
Yeah.
But where would you focus your time for the best benefit in general? So obviously the most, I guess, visibility on the real estate, really.
I think honestly, rich snippets are way more time effective because they're guaranteed. So if you can really roll those out using what you have already and just with basic technical schema.org implementation, then you're going to see the quickest return, basically. But the dream is to be achieving all organically. So if you can sort of interweave these optimization processes into your SEO strategies without even thinking about it so much, like, oh, I'm adding this because I want a feature snippet. It's all about, providing this strategy as one, then it's like gold. This is awesome. You can be winning your rich snippets, feature snippets, structure snippets, all the snippets.
Snippets. And as you said earlier on the presentation, I wonder how many times you've actually said snippets. So I don't know whether when we listen, and obviously you do the editing for this and re-listen through the whole process, maybe one of the DC guys should count the number of mentions of snippets.
Please do.
We can let everybody know, because I'm going to go multiple hundreds here on this one.
A funny story, I once spoke at a meetup which had beer, and two people played a drinking game where they drank every time I said snippets, and they had to stop after 5 minutes.
Ouch.
It was too much.
Well, it's fantastic, but I'm afraid we are out of time. 5 o'clock is here. I know people in the UK are trying to wrap up and maybe get away from the day. In Europe, the day is finished from a work perspective, and obviously in the US, you guys are just getting going on the West Coast. So if you dialed in, thank you for joining us really early. But we are out of time, and a massive thank you to you guys to attending this next one in the series of the Deep Crawl webinars. A massive thank you, obviously, to Izzi Smith. Thank you for being here with us, Izzi.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you. Love the deck, and I'm sure we'll be sharing a lot of that data out, and I've seen all the tweets going out as well. So it's fantastic today. As I mentioned, the webinar recap will be live as of around midday, as normal, on the Deep Crawl blog tomorrow. And obviously there will be a recording of the webinar as well available there. And obviously we'll be emailing out everything to you guys that obviously subscribe to this week's webinar as well. Please, please, please do take the time before you log off to fill in the survey. We do appreciate your feedback to tell us whether we're doing things right, wrong, and how you would like to see us organize these things going forward, certain speakers maybe you'd like to hear from, or certain topics you'd like to have. Obviously, our next webinar, we normally do these on a month-by-month basis, but actually we're cramming 2 into July. So literally on the 31st of July, so obviously 28 days from now is the next webinar date, where we will have Mr. Max Prin on the next series of our webinars. So please take your time to, when the emails come out, or sign yourselves up. We start advertising for that one now. And obviously, again, just a massive thank you to you guys for attending, and a big thanks again to Izzi Smith, who's the SEO manager at 6th Rent-A-Car. Thank you for being here with us today, Izzi.
Thank you.